Hi and welcome into the Kitchen Sink podcast where we talk about everything but the kitchen sink. Hi and welcome into the Kitchen Sink episode 5. Guys, we've done 5 episodes. I think that deserves a round of applause, to be honest. Woo! This is further than I got with my first podcast. So actually, I don't know if many people know this, but God, when was it? It was quite a while ago. It was when I was still living with my parents. I actually did start a Patreon exclusive podcast. It was nowhere near as professional as this. Let me tell you that. It was called The Bradcast. Hate the name. It makes me want to kill myself. It was called The Bradcast. It was a Patreon exclusive. I didn't have mics. I didn't have set, nothing. I had like no theme. Literally nothing. It was just a random fucking podcast. And I used to record it through my voice memos on my phone. So I'd have like my phone just like here, just recording myself. But yeah, so that was a little fun fact. I did actually have a podcast before this one. This is not my first podcast. 1 minute. Got some fluff on the mic. I'm so sorry about that. Let's clean you off. But this is hands down the better podcast of the two. And I definitely took this one more serious. So hello, welcome into episode 5. Guys, I've got a few things to talk about before we actually get into the thick of this episode. And this one could potentially get me cancelled, to be honest. And so far, I've been pretty controversial with the pod so far. So here's hoping this one don't get me cancelled. But this is probably the one that's most likely to get me cancelled, if I'm quite honest. And I'm a little bit nervous about it. But you know what? It is what it is. The internet hates people, and that's okay. First and foremost, you'll notice if you are watching, we have bubbles. Or in actual fact, hear that? You might not have heard that. But that is in fact expandable foam. If you're just listening, I will describe it to you. Have you ever heard of the expandable foam that you can put into like walls and stuff, and it just essentially just fills gaps in your walls? That's usually what it's used for. And I'm not gonna lie, I've used it for a lot of other things in the past. Like for example, like I put it all around like a mirror. I put it around 2 mirrors before. And it's just really cool stuff. Like it was like a big thing in lockdown. People were doing the mirror thing in lockdown, and I you know what? I gave in and I did it, right? So that's essentially what I've done, because one of you guys, I told him I was going to give him a shout out. Let me find him on the YouTube thing, because basically on YouTube I asked you guys to comment down below any way I could potentially make this look like something in the sink, essentially, because a lot of you were saying like stuff to do with like actual water and products like that, and I was like, well, I can't, because the sink itself doesn't actually work, and it's obviously got holes in it for the plug and stuff like that. So I had to come up with some sort of option that was going to be easier and would last longer. One of you guys actually told me to do expandable foam, which is great because I've used it before, and I was like, shit, that would work perfect. So that's exactly what I did. So let me try and find him so I can give him a quick shout out. Bless him. So Carl D, if you're watching or if you're listening, thank you so much for your advice, because I actually do think it looks sickening. Now, you will notice there is a bit of excess round here. I do plan on scraping that off when it's fully dry. And also you'll find that I have it all over my hands. If you're watching, I am showing you, but I do in fact have it all over my fucking fingers. And you know what? This always happens. When I did the initial applying the foam, I did put the gloves on, which they do provide, which is great. After I did it, and when I was like faffing with it to try and like get it prepped for actually filming, got it all over my fucking fingers, didn't I? So that's great. So I'm going to try and not pick at it, because it's one of those products, guys, you want to pick. So I'm going to try not to, for your benefit, because I'm sure that'll be irritating, right? I mean, not if you're listening, but still. So I'm not going to pick at it, but just know I'm irritated, right? And then second thing I had to quickly update you guys on is I've just made a very exciting purchase. Has any of you ever heard of those Togo sofas that are like a 70s sofa that like a lot of people have been getting back into recently? I have wanted one of these sofas for fucking years. Since before I even had my own flat, guys, I wanted one of these sofas. Like that was like my ultimate sofa option. But plot twist, they're extremely expensive, because of course they are. right? Mid-century modern, fun, quirky, designer. It's going to be massively expensive. And it is, right? I'm pretty sure they can range from like, say, 2 grand, 3 grand for like a literal single seater chair to, I mean, guys, it can be upwards of 10 grand plus for like an actual set. Because you can basically get all these different parts and you can put them together and they make a really cool shape. Or you can obviously just buy little chairs, or you can buy 2-seaters, 3-seaters, whatever. And they even do like ottomans. And I tell you, guys, they are incredibly gorgeous in my opinion. They're not for everyone. They are quite a unique design, but I absolutely love them. And I have for years. So basically what I did was last night, I was like, you know what? I'm going to have a look, because essentially my flat's almost done in terms of decor, and I do currently have a chair, my old chair that I used to use for editing, and like I think I used to film videos on it actually. It's like an orange chair and it's really, really cute, but it's not the comfiest and it's not a good it's not utilizing the amount of space that I've got well. Like, it's just there, and like I can easily fit a 2-seater there. So what I thought was, you know what, I'm gonna have a quick look for like, even if it's like a bigger love seat situation that maybe swivels or what. And then I came across these sofas again, guys, and I've been looking for these sofas for years, right? And I've never dropped on one that's like on sale. I've been looking on Facebook Marketplace, because ideally I wouldn't want to get one brand new, because they're the type of thing that you have to order and then it takes weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks for them to arrive, and I can't be fucked with that. And I understand why, because obviously they make them to order, like as you order them they're making it. Do you know what I mean? So I understand that there's a wait, but if you know anything about me, it's that I'm extremely impatient when it comes to things when I've got it in my mind. Like, if I've got something in my brain that I want to do or that I want to purchase, I want it now. I don't fancy waiting. And that was the case with these. They're easy to find, but they're like, first of all, very expensive to buy brand new, but also secondly, it's a long wait time. So I scanned Etsy for like dupes and stuff. Basically, long story short, last night I purchased one, and it was like a chair with like an ottoman, and it was an orange one, and I was really excited, very, very excited actually. It was definitely a dupe. Like, it was like, I think it was like 600, 700 quid, so it was definitely a dupe. Or was it like 500, 600? I don't know. It was a lot cheaper than the originals are. So I was like, you know what? It's a really good looking dupe, and I don't really care if it's real or not. I just want one that's going to like fulfill the vibe, you know? So ordered it, went to the gym today, having a great morning, living my best life, trying to get back into the gym again. And I got an email being like, oh, sorry, we've actually cancelled your order and we've refunded you. And I was like, what the fuck? Why? Essentially, they didn't really give me a reason, but I'm pretty sure it's like a production issue. So they cancelled it, and I was like, great. Now let's have a look for some more. Stumbled upon another one on Etsy, and I'm really, really praying and hoping, and oh God, I really hope so, right? It's a different seller, and I'm really hoping that they're not going to cancel my order, because I've basically ordered now a 2-seater, which makes more sense realistically, because the other one was still just going to be one chair, and I did have an ottoman, but still, who's going to want to just sit on an ottoman, you know? So I've ordered a 2-seater, and I can be putting pictures on the screen. I'm sure I have been up to now, but and if you're just listening, I'm going to describe it to you, right? It's green and it's velvet, and it's essentially like, it almost looks like a beanbag, but it's like got form, and it's like, it almost looks like it's got layers to it, but it's not. It's just like creasing, and like it's the way it's built or whatever. I don't know how they make it, but and it's almost like, if you look from the side, they make like an L shape. Hopefully this is a good description, I don't know. And it's green and it's velvet, and it's a 2-seater, and I'm very excited. So I'm hoping that they don't cancel my order. They shouldn't do, because it is a different seller. And if so, on the site it said that it could be here next week. So best believe soon on YouTube you will be getting a full-on flat tour, because it'll be quite interesting to show you like the behind the scenes of like this office room that I'm in now. Because this office room now is like obviously my editing space, my YouTube filming space, and now obviously this side is the podcast filming space. It's a crazy little triangle situation in here. but I feel like I'm utilizing it really well. So that's mainly one reason why I'm keen to show you the whole place, but also like the whole vibe of my flat is so fun and I love it. So I mean, look out for that soon because there's not much more I need to do to the flat or things I need to purchase for the flat before I can do that. And I know some people are into that sort of thing. So best believe soon you will be seeing the whole flat. But anyway, that was about 12 minutes of fucking nothing, to be honest, that no one tuned in for. But anyway, let's get into what we're actually going to be talking about today. And the juice is juicy. Okay. Okay, so in today's episode, we're talking all things music. Now, soon you're going to be getting a Brad Vice episode, which I'm really excited about. And essentially, I'm just going to give you some really stupid advice more than likely. But that's coming soon. That was voted for more than this episode. But the reason why this episode's won is because the Grammys just happened. The Grammys just happened, right? So I feel like we have to talk about them while they're fresh. And it just adds a whole nother level to this episode. And it gives me a whole nother segment to delve into, right? So, quick backstory. I'm a big fan of music. Now, if you've only known me from doing like commentary stuff on YouTube, you might like to know that I actually, in fact, started mainly like the good chunk of my YouTube career began with me doing music reactions, and that was my main content for a while. I think for like 2 years, maybe. So yeah, I was just doing music reactions on YouTube. I don't do them anymore. And you know what? If you want to know why, ask fucking YouTube to sort out their copyright, and then we might see about it. Because I love music, but it made it so much more difficult to do music reactions because the more and more you grow, it seems. Now, this is all fucking hell. This is all alleged, right? This is all allegedly. I don't know anything, right? I don't want anyone to come sue me. But it seems like the more and more you grow on YouTube, the more and more copyright comes and bites you on the fucking ass, right? I'm not going to get into this too much because we're going to do the pros and cons of YouTube life, right, at some point. And that's going to be a juicy fucker too. But that's kind of what happened to me. The more and more my channel kind of grew, thank you so much, by the way, the more and more YouTube copyright came for my fucking ass. And music reactions are really fun, but they're really hard to make entertaining edit-wise. So obviously I was trying to cut a lot and edit a lot to stay within copyright rules, so then I was at least still making money. Because guys, there was some points I was doing like 3 videos a day for like different reactions and stuff. So that's wild. Yes, I was trying to edit smartly and then stay within the rules of copyright, so I was at least earning money for the amount of time that I was putting into it. But it was just getting harder and harder. And guys, I'm not going to lie, recently they've just been copyrighting every fucking music thing I did, so I've stopped. The last one I did was Taylor Swift's Midnights, and I don't really plan on doing any, which is sad because obviously like we've got some really fun albums coming up this year, like Miley's Endless Summer Vacation. I'm excited for that. Lana's album. March in general, we've got great albums coming out, like Chloe's bringing her album out. I swear there's someone else in March too. Like Olivia Rodrigo, is she going to drop an album this year? Do you know what I mean? I bloody hope so. Olivia, where are you, babes? But yeah, so that was just a little backstory. I'm always listening to music. I'm one of those people that doesn't really like silence too much. Like, just before this, I was getting ready to film and I had music on. But let's get into the first segment. We've got segments now, people, right? I'm moving up in the world. I'm getting a bit more professional. Right, well, I'm trying to anyway. I'm trying to really think about these things. But yeah, first segment. So the first segment I decided to call On a Loop. We're going to be talking about just some songs, albums that I'm really fucking with right now. Now, if you didn't know, I'll plug it real quick. On my Spotify, I do have loads of playlists. And if you're wanting to kind of know what I'm listening to and I'm into right now, I've got a playlist on there that's titled Generally Feeling Right Now. And that's one that I constantly update. So if you wanted to know what I'm into, they are on there. But I'm just going to talk about a few things, like a few albums, few songs, and then we'll get into the juice. I didn't want to start with the controversy, straight out the gates. So I'm easing us in, okay? So, first song I want to talk about is Can't Tame Her by Zara Larsson. Now, I love me some Zara Larsson. I love Me Land. That's her that's her best song in my opinion. No doubt about it, actually. Now, don't get me wrong, this song lyrically, it's not the best. It's kind of just about not being able to tame a girl because she wants to have fun and she's like out and she's partying. It's just a bop for bop's sake, but it's like a really infectious bop. Like, when I first heard it, I didn't think I'd be obsessed as I am, but it's kind of like really gotten into my brain and I've been really wanting to listen to it. So I've been really loving that song. Now, an album, guys, and I've spoke about this already plenty of times. I'm sure I might have even spoken about it in an episode already, but Ray's album's just come out, guys, and I tell you what, she did the damn fucking thing with that album. She really, really did. If you didn't know, Ray essentially got shelved for 10 years or so, or like she's been on the back burner for about 10 years in the industry and she's not dropped an album yet. Well, now she has. But up to now, she hasn't dropped one single album. So I'm not sure how recent, but she ended up going independent. And now she's dropped her first album. It came out literally a week ago-ish. And it's called My 21st Century Blues. And when I first saw the cover art and stuff and I saw the title, I was like, what are we doing here? Like, what's the vibe? I wasn't too fond on the artwork and stuff. Like, it just didn't really make sense to me. But when we actually got the album itself is almost set up as if you're like in like a jazz bar. Like, it's got like an intro and outro, everything. And it's kind of set up like you're in this jazz bar and this person basically introduces Ray to the stage. And then it's obviously like her singing all these songs. But it makes you feel like you're just like sat at a jazz bar, imagine like drinking a cocktail, you know, sip, sip. And she's just singing to you some lovely songs. And once I heard the album and I heard the intro, literally just the intro, I was like, I completely get it, because they called it the 21st Century Blues Club. He was like, let's make a heartbreak welcome to Ray, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, hi, I'm Ray. Thanks for listening, all this bollocks. Like, it was really cool how they've done it. So I fully support Ray's album. And if you haven't listened to it, I do say go listen, because I have had a few people say that you went to listen and then you're absolutely obsessed, and with good reason. It's a great album. Next track, oh my god, guys, I've been popping my pussy to this. I really have. This has been maybe the best bop for me right now. It's the one I gravitate to the most. And that is LLYLM. And it's essentially Lie Like You Love Me, I think, by Rosalia. I fucking love this bitch, right? I covered her most recent 2 albums on the channel when I was still doing music reactions. And I fell in love with her. She's so fucking cool. And this is the first time I can solidly say that I've really gotten into a artist that isn't English, like that English isn't their first language. Now, don't get me wrong, she does do little bits in English, but for the most part, like, is it Spanish or Portuguese? I think it's Spanish. But she brought out a song called Lie Like You Love Me, and guys, it's a bop, and it's got quite a lot of English in, so I can sing along, and that adds to the experience for me. Like, I want to be able to sing with a song, right? I don't like it when it's like not the kind of song you want to belt out. Like, I don't connect as well. Like, I'm the kind of person that needs a lyric, right? I really do need a lyric. Like, I'm not one of those people that's going to go to like a techno club and it's like cha, and like I'm on Ket and I'm like going crazy. That's never going to be me. Now, put on a Taylor Swift event where we can all cry and get in our feelings, and I'm fucking there, right? Drinking some wine, blah, blah. Yeah, absolutely. That's not my judge. Next song, this is another one. I cannot even tell you the amount I've played this song since it's come out. I'm so up Chloe's arsehole. It's concerning at this point. Like, my nose is breaching, right? A bum crack. It really, really is. So essentially, if you don't know who Chloe is, I'm going to fill you in because y'all need the education, right? Chloe is essentially a singer that started off singing with her sister, and they were obviously called Chloe and Halle. They were discovered because they did videos that went viral on YouTube, I believe. Beyonce, the one and only, discovered them on YouTube or whatever, I don't know, signed them to her fucking label. Now, you know, if Beyonce's signing some fucker, they're talented, right? Because Beyonce is the talent. So she essentially signed them to her label. They obviously brought out, I think, 2 albums together, and now they've kind of like separated. I'm sure they'll still do music like in the future, probably together, but for the most part, they're doing things kind of separately at the minute. And Chloe's brought out a few songs already, and I've been obsessed with every single one of them. Some of you might have heard Booty So Big, Work, Lord, Have Mercy. You might have heard that one. That one did numbers. But she recently announced her debut fucking album that comes out in March. And it's titled In Pieces. And she brought out a song, and it's called Pray It Away. And it sounded like she was going to be talking about gay things, although she wasn't. I got excited that she might be. Okay? But no, alas, she's not gay. But in actual fact, the song is really, really cool. And it's basically about her almost wanting revenge on some fucker that's done her wrong. And she's saying essentially, let me go pray it away before I give him what he deserves first. That's actually lyrics from the track. So you're welcome for that. But yeah, she's essentially saying like, I'm going to go pray away all these feelings before I do something that I'll regret and I'll hurt this motherfucker. But it's a really cool fucking song. The vocals are on point. The visual, guys, the visual. She serves contemporary dance, I'm not going to lie. Right? And I'm a big visual stan, right? So check out Pray It Away. I cannot praise that song enough. The vocals, oh my God. I'm also into Brr by Miss Kim Petras. We're going to get into Kim Petras later because, oh, wow, she's on a roll. I'm loving Kim Petras right now. Burr is a great track. I'm also loving Lonely Bitch by B. Miller. Love that song. I was screaming that at the top of my lungs this morning. Flowers by Miley. I feel like that's been talked about enough, but it's definitely on a loop. Ethel Cain's album, guys. I've been loving Ethel Cain. I've been getting into Ethel Cain. I feel like an alt bitch. But specifically the track Gibson Girl. Oh my God. Crumbs by Rebecca Black. She's another one we're going to get into later. Rebecca Black, man. I'm not going to talk about it yet because it's not for this segment, but that song specifically, Crumbs. Wow. I think her album came out today, actually. So I might have to listen to that. I also have been loving Becky's So Hot by Fletcher. Obviously, I've been loving Taylor's album still. My favourites that are still in this playlist are Lavender Haze, Anti-Hero, Snow on the Beach, Midnight Rain, Bejeweled, Karma, Bigger Than the Whole Sky, Glitch, Would've, Could've, Should've, and Paris. Would've, Could've, Should've. That is easily one of the best songs on the album. For sure. That's one of those tracks that you want to belt. And best believe I do. I think in terms of tracks, they're like maybe my favourites right now. I'm obviously still loving Sabrina Carpenter's album. Incredible album. Oh, and Sad Bitch by Anne-Marie. Guys, it's a great track. It's essentially about no longer being a sad bitch. We're over being sad. We're going to be happy and we're going to fuck some shit up. And I can get behind that. Because Lord knows, since the beginning of the year, I've really found it difficult to get back into the swing of things. So that song really helps me. Oh my God, Beyonce brought out the Cuff It Wetter remix. I'm sorry, but I almost think that's the better version out of the two. I love the Wetter remix. I do. I really do. I think that's kind of it for albums that I'm feeling and like songs that I'm feeling right now. Not that many, but I think that's good enough. I feel like we've just spoken for a good bit of time. So on to the next segment, I guess. Okay, so the next segment is called Tea Time. Now, I do plan on doing probably a full episode that's titled Tea Time, because essentially what tea time means is we're going to talk about some tea. We're going to talk about the tea of the town that's going on right now. So it's a bit more gossipy. We're just going to be talking about things that are happening in music right now, like drama, stuff like that. And obviously in the future, we'll do a specific episode that's going to be titled Tea Time. And that'll be more about just like anything in pop culture or life that's going on right now, you know? So I'm sure that'll happen in the future because I think it's a fun concept. But for now, we're talking about specifically music tea time. First thing I wanted to hit on, right, is I don't even know where this came from. I do actually, but we'll get into it. And that is Ice Spice. Ice Spice. Right now, some of you might not know about this bitch, but I'm gonna tell you about her, right? Because she's been all over my Twitter, and I'm confused, I guess. Because essentially, right, she's a new rapper, I believe, that's coming up. I'm not sure how she's been discovered. In my mind, it's probably a TikTok thing, to be real, to call it what it is. I imagine that's where she's probably got a start. Essentially, I saw on Twitter, I'm going to load up Twitter right now so I can watch this while we chat. Because I saw on Twitter this clip from one of her videos of a song that she did with some other girl. I don't know who the other girl is either. Right now, granted, I'll say this: I don't know much about her. I've not heard one full song. So take this with a grain of salt. So essentially, what I saw was, I'll be putting it on the screen, I imagine, for people that are actually watching the visuals. But for what I saw was this clip of her and this brown-haired girl in a music video, I guess, for a song. And what I don't understand, right, is in the music video, her and this bitch are just kind of like stood there, bopping. They're in different settings, and they're just kind of walking around. And you know when like people in music videos, like they have a crew behind them, and like they're just stood, and the rest of the crew's like pointing, they're doing this. If you're watching, you can see what I'm doing. But just like they're kind of just like reacting to what she's singing, but like it's not really extravagant. Like they're just like pointing, like, yeah, ooh, she's getting it. Absolutely. Fucking tea. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what it's giving. So we've got those people in the background doing that. And then we've got her and this other girl, walking around, but like only one of them's rapping at a time, and the other's just kind of like stood there smirking, posing, being kind of weird. And I can't play the audio, but from when I listen to the audio, she's a very slow rapper. Now, I love me some rap, and I completely understand the hype around like Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, Iggy Azalea, etc. There's loads of female rappers that I really love. But I don't understand the hype around Ice Spice, right? Her style is iffy to me. Her style's iffy to me. The bars aren't barring. The visual definitely is not for me. I just think, I've never been one though for like a visual where it's just like the artist is just stood there, and you've got a camera doing like all the crazy work. And that's kind of what it gave in that visual. So that already was a miss for me. And then they just kind of like move locations, and it's just them still stood there in the exact same outfit, just singing the next bit. It don't do it for me. And I just think even if you're not talented in any other way, like there's ways to make a cool visual. Hire dancers, you know, like do something. And I'm not saying that she needs budget to do that. Like you can do a cool visual without a crazy budget. You don't need to stand there in like the same outfit all the way through and just spit slow bars. Now I know a lot of people are liking her at the minute, so who knows? Maybe this might get me cancelled. But if that's gonna get me cancelled, then get ready for the rest of this. So yeah, Ice Spice. I'm really sorry. I don't get it. Next person, real quick. We need to talk about this evolution of Rebecca Black, because guys, I've already talked about her song that I'm loving right now called Crumbs, right? But recently, I decided to use that song, that Crumbs song, when I was teaching. So if you don't know, I do in fact teach children to dance every Friday, because I trained since I was 7 to be a dancer. I don't dance anymore, mainly because of a back issue, but also because like this is more my life now, like internet and such. But anyway, so I decided to use that song and I taught them a dance to that song, and the kids were loving it, right? The kids were thriving, they were living, they were breathing, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, right, absolutely. As they should. It's a bop, okay? And I said to the kids, I was like, right, well, do you want to know who this is from? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, well, do you remember that girl that sang, It's Friday, Friday, gotta get down Friday? I said, yeah, it's her. And they said, what? They were shook, just as shook as I was when I first heard it. Because a few people had tried to tell me already that Rebecca had really been making money moves, right? And I'd fell accustomed to the whole not really letting someone live something down and like imagining that they're still making that kind of music when realistically she's changed, I'm assuming, a fuck ton since that song came out. Like, I'm pretty sure it came out like 2010 or something? I don't know, years and years ago. So now, guys, best believe she's making incredible music, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Well done, Rebecca. Well done for changing and turning it around. Because Friday, that's not the track for me. But this new shit, it is. And I'm pretty sure she's released an album today, so I'm going to listen to that later. So yeah, I want to talk about Rebecca Black because I feel like she's an interesting one, and she's one of many people that people don't see past something that you did in the past. Can't really think of another instance where someone's maybe like done like something cringy in the past and people haven't let them live it down. I don't know, but I guess that's the risk you run in it when you have like a one hit wonder kind of vibe. Next, I've wrote down the TikTok influence on music and short ass songs. Now, this is a big one for me. As I mentioned in the On the Loop segment, I'm loving Sad Bitch by Anne-Marie right now, but it wasn't an instant grab, right? And do you want to know the reason why? Because it's 2 minutes and 10 seconds, people, or something around that, right? And I almost think that these days, this is where I think we're headed, right? People are making music that they hope will be a TikTok hit, because obviously artists are getting wind of how much help TikTok can be in making your song a success, right? We've seen it time and time again. Like, look, Doja Cat, she's essentially been given a career based off of TikTok. Like, don't get me wrong, she was obviously doing stuff before, but would she be at the level that she is without Say So doing what it did? I don't know. So TikTok obviously is a great tool, but I think we're starting to see artists make songs that are hoping to be a TikTok hit, and that takes form in it being like a 2-minute track, not much substance, quite a bullshit narrative, or quite surface level. And it's kind of getting irritating to me because I'm the kind of person, now this is like I said, very personal, but I'm the kind of person that looks to music for substance, lyric, to relate, to sing along, that whole thing. Now there's a time and a place, I guess, for like a bolshy track, a fun track, like that Sad Bitch song. It's a very bolshy number and I live. Like, it's a good feel-good track for like when you're in the gym and stuff. So don't get it twisted, I do like that song. But I do think there's some songs that are just like, people going into the studio and thinking, right, I need a TikTok hit. I need bullshit lyrics that are catchy. I need a chorus, because realistically, most of the time, it is somewhat the chorus or maybe a bridge sometimes, I guess, that gets popular on TikTok as a sound. And then that's it then. That's all you need. People don't necessarily care about the rest of the song because it's going crazy on TikTok, so they'll play the song just to hear that one bit. Do you know what I mean? That's where I think we're headed, guys. That's where I think music's headed. We're going to see more and more and more of that, and I wish that wasn't the case. And I hope a lot of artists still do choose to give substance and don't fall into this trap of just trying to make TikTok music. Because, like, don't get me wrong, some songs on TikTok that do pop off are really good, like Escapism by Ray. That's helped out an independent artist, and I think that's a fucking sickening thing, right? Because, in my opinion, Ray deserves the world because of all she's been through. And realistically, like, a lot of the success of Escapism came because of TikTok, right? So in that instance, like, TikTok does have the potential to make an artist or a song that much more of a hit or just improve the trajectory of the artist or the song for the better. But then it also is kind of ruining music, in my opinion. Because then we also get like those like people releasing it in like a hit song with TikTok, and then it's like they'll bring out a sped up version. What? Why? And I suppose it's because like for the TikTok stuff, they're doing like sped up versions because they're like mouthing the words like really, really quick. And then they're like doing makeup and they're like, oh, you know? So I assume it's probably that kind of vibe. But it's like, why are we bringing all these things out onto platforms in the hope that people will listen to them? Weird. Like Sabrina did it. Ray did it. So many people are bringing out like sped up versions and slower versions. And I'm just like, what? Bring out a remix. You know? But anyway, TikTok, I mean, I've got an interesting relationship with TikTok anyway. But TikTok's influence on music is something. Next, now this is an interesting one. I won't have too much to say. I'm going to try and keep it brief. But the need for someone to be an incredible vocalist, for them to be considered a good singer. Now, I've got one person in particular that I think of when this issue kind of arises, and that is Miss Selena Gomez. Now, I am not the kind of person that will sit here and say that someone is not a singer, they're not valid if they don't have incredible range. But I'm also a massive supporter of people that have got incredible range, and that is insane. Like Demi Lovato, one of the most underrated vocalists of our generation, right? She is incredible vocally. But I don't think it should be a question of if someone has got the vocals and that be the determining factor as to whether they're classed as a good singer, you know? And we've seen it time and time again with Selena Gomez. People drag her because she might not have the craziest range. But in my opinion, if you make good music, you don't always need the most insane range. Like Billie Eilish, she is arguably one of the biggest musicians in our generation right now, and she's not got the biggest range. But I know that's been like a whole thing with her, that people have been coming for her because of that. And I just think if they make good music and people like it, why does it matter if their range isn't crazy? It still takes a lot of training and technical, like there's technique there, guys, for someone to be able to do the breathy thing. Like there's so much to it. Like I'm not a vocal coach, right? I can't tell you the specifics, but there is, and I watch vocal coaches. I'm fascinated by it. So that's another thing that pisses me off about the music industry, or not even the music industry. It's more the perception of the music industry and the judgment from the public even, right? I did write down the male and female expectation differences. Now, I've definitely spoke about that before in something, but we all know men get away with doing the bare minimum. Women have to like keep switching it up, keep doing the most, keep changing era to era, whether that be style, hair color, vibe, even genre, right? And they have to do that in order to stay relevant, right? We've seen that a lot with women, whereas men can literally do the same thing over and over and over, and that's okay. And you know what? Who am I to say? But it does get a bit tiresome, and I'm not even a woman in music. I'm sure there's women in music that are so fucked off with the industry and the constant need for them to reinvent. Now, I know Taylor Swift, hello, I'm a Swiftie, but I know that she's spoken about it in a documentary. And kind of since then, I've been like, God, she's fucking right. A woman to have like a long career has to constantly try and keep herself seeming exciting to an audience. And it's wild when men can get away with doing fuck all. Obviously, we don't get me wrong, I'm generalizing here, and there is men that obviously do switch it up, do different things. So there is that, but yeah, I just think that's quite interesting. Then the next thing, and kind of the last like tea time issue I thought I'd bring up, and now this might get me angry, right? This might get me on my soapbox. This might get me a bit fuming, right? It might, and I'm really sorry in advance. But that is this Sam Smith issue. Now, if you don't know, I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to calm down before I probably pop off. But if you don't know, Sam Smith released a music video, I believe, and this is what's kind of spurred on. I feel like they were getting some hate, obviously, for Unholy. Like, I'm sure they got a lot of hate for that track. God, imagine the Christians. Oh, God, imagine the religious bastards in that track. God, I'd love to hear what they thought. But anyway, I'm sure they got a lot of hate for that because realistically, it was a very queer and a beautiful representation of queer culture in that visual. So yeah, there's that. I'm sure it started there. But for the most part, I think it's kind of like gone to a whole nother level because they released this song on the new album titled I'm Not Here to Make Friends, and it was accompanied by a music video in which Sam obviously owned their body. They're happy with their body, as they fucking should be. Spoiler alert, should be. And they should be allowed to be, right? And I'm pretty sure the main issue with people was that they were wearing a corset. Now, don't get me wrong. My problem, from what I saw, was like the corset was just a bit ugly. It was nothing to do with Sam, but that's just like me. Like that's me coming from like more of a stylist standpoint. Now, don't get me wrong. There were some sickening things in the stuff that I saw from the clip. Now, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw these like cute corset panty moments that had like a heart cut out on the arse cheeks, and I wanted to find it. I wanted to find that garment and purchase, right? So there was a lot of stylistic choices that I loved, but I will admit Sam's corset was kind of baggy, was kind of ill-fitting. Like there was definitely better corsets out there, but people aren't coming for the corset. People are coming realistically for the fact that they are owning their body, as they should. They're typically, as society, I guess, calls it, overweight or a little bit more on the heavier side, or I don't even know the word. Like, I don't like the word fat. I think that's mean. But they are just like on the heavier side. They're clearly happy. And people, obviously, because it's the internet, people hate to see people happy. And let's call it what it is. A lot of people like, I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter being like, this is disgusting, blah, 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 blah. And realistically, let's call it what it is. You're mad that they are happy in their skin. They're portraying themselves in a matter that you deem unacceptable for someone with that body type or that sexuality even. Because there's a level of transphobia here. There's a level of fat phobia here. I hate that we call them phobias because they're not. This is fucking bullshit. They shouldn't be classed as phobias. But anyway, that's a different topic for a different time. But yeah, it's extremely irritating to me. I'm the kind of person that I want everyone to be able to express the way they want to express, as long as you're not hurting anybody, obviously. And in my eyes, that's all Sam's doing. Is expressing himself, is happy in his skin. Why are we hating on someone for being happy in their skin? Why are we hating on someone that's a great role model for someone of their body type or someone of their gender, sexuality, whatever it is? Sam Smith is an incredible role model, and it's pissing me off that not only are they getting hate from the obvious homophobes, transphobes, all this stuff, because realistically they have to hate on something, so they choose us. But not just that, they're getting disgusting comments from people a part of this community. And as far as I'm concerned, the LGBTQIA plus community should be a place where people are accepted. We have each other's backs. Like, we understand how much each other go through. So I feel like it's almost worse to me that it's coming from people that are part of this community when we know how hard a lot of us have it. and how hard so many other people that aren't a part of this community want us to fail and hate us for literally no reason, for just being who we want to be. It's disgusting to me that now people are part of this community are acting the same way as those people. To me, all I can see it as is internalized homophobia, transphobia, fat phobia, all this fucking bollocks. To me, that's what it's screaming. Don't get me wrong. Gays can be irritating, and I'm sure I've tweeted in the past, like, oh, fuck gays. But, like, there's a level of satire there. I don't actually hate the gay community. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, Sam, you're not listening to this. But I hope they just continue to thrive. They continue to own their body, own their sexuality, and just be who they want to be. Because as far as I'm concerned, this seems like the most true and authentic Sam's been yet, and I think it's beautiful. The last thing in kind of this segment is the Grammy drama. Now, I'm going to try and make this quick because I have been rambling, people, and I'm sorry, right? But we have to hit on the Grammys. They just happened for me when I'm recording this. First thing I wanted to speak about was Kim being the first trans woman to win, was it a Grammy in general? I don't think any trans woman has won a Grammy yet. I think she's the first. So fucking round of applause for that. Congrats, Kim. See, this is the thing, guys. We should be applauding successes, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Unholy, for example, because that's the song that they won the Grammy for. Unholy is not my particular taste in music. I don't necessarily think it's a bad song. I actually do sometimes enjoy it for like the gym and stuff, but it's not something that I gravitate towards a lot. But you know what? It's popped off. It's queer. Why the fuck are we not more happy about it? Do you know what I mean? Because I'm sure they got like I said, I'm sure they got a lot of hate for the song, the visual. I'm sure they got a lot of hate for the fact that they won the Grammy, all this stuff, right? We had a lot of success with the women, right? So we had Lizzo win a Grammy. Love that for her. We had Viola Davis. She got her EGOT. I'm not sure what you say about that. Because isn't it, it's like the four main things, like the Tony, the Grammy, the Oscars, and the Emmy. She's got them all now. Congrats to you, Viola. We had a random woman that I've never heard of. She won Song of the Year or Record of the Year. I'm not sure which. But you know what? Congrats to her. I'm not the kind of person that's going to hate on that because, I mean, we'll get into it. But a lot of people have been hating on choices made at the Grammys that aren't the artist's fault. And we're going to get into one that's probably going to get me cancelled. But you know what? Oh, well. I'm going to try and keep it brief because I got into an altercation with someone on Twitter about it. So, first of all, congrats to that woman that won Song or whatever. Don't know who you are, but good for you. Right? So, people are very mad that Harry Styles won Album of the Year, I believe, for Harry's House, right? They are mad because Renaissance by Beyonce didn't win. What I have to say about this matter is I prefer Renaissance over Harry's House. That's just personal preference. That being said, do I think that Harry deserves hate for winning it? No. Do I think that this means that the Grammys have snubbed black people? No, because Beyonce won 3 other Grammys, right? Lizzo, Viola, they all won Grammys. I don't think this is a racial issue from my standpoint. Now, like I've said, this is just my opinion. I'm obviously a white man. I have a lot of privilege. I completely understand. So I'm not telling anybody how to think. If you think it is, okay. But to me, what it screams is a fandom being mad that their fave didn't win a category. Okay, hi, me from the future just coming in just to interject because when I recorded this episode, I hadn't seen all the stuff about his speech and the little part that I think he said something along the lines of, this kind of thing doesn't happen to people like me. And obviously people were actually mad because he'd said this whilst also winning over a woman of colour. So naturally it was a little bit tone deaf. Well, kind of a lot tone deaf. So I just wanted to interject here and just say I completely agree. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that I put this part in. But anyway, back to it. right? Now, guys, there is so many issues with people of colour not being recognised, or women in general, whatever. There is so many issues, right, that are valid completely. But I just don't think this one is one of them. Now, what I will say is I do understand, because I think, I mean, it could go either way, but I'm trying to think of it from a perspective of, obviously, Beyonce's album was very heavily inspired by black culture, queer culture, all these things, right? Which I fucking love. It's a great album. And I'm assuming people are mad because of that. I'd like to think that that's why people are mad, because it would have been incredible if it won. Because once again, that's like another win for black people, another win for queer people, all this stuff. Why we couldn't have this energy for Sam? We're not going to get into that. But anyway, because they're not what society deems as slay. But anyway, so I'm thinking that's what it is. But where I get a bit icky, right, is yes, that would have been incredible. Would have loved for that to happen. Would have loved for Renaissance to have that recognition. Even though it still was very, very much celebrated. She won 3 Grammys. She's now the woman with or just a person in general with the most Grammys to date. Like, she's been celebrated a lot at this year's Grammys. She's not been snubbed, right? Where I get a bit icky is the fact that, obviously because it didn't happen and she lost to Harry's House, which arguably has done incredible numbers. A lot of people love it. It's a beautiful album, like vibe-wise, songwriting, like all of it. It's a great, great album. Like, if you're nominated for a Grammy, realistically, you've got a great album on your hands, right? So, but obviously because it happened where Beyonce lost to Harry, people were like, oh, he's a white man. Of course she's lost to a white man. I just think, like, first of all, Harry didn't choose to win. Like, it's not his fault, but yet people are hating on Harry, dragging Harry again. For what reason? He just made an album that's good, that the Grammys deemed the best, and that they gave him the award. But at the end of the day, guys, it's just an award. Renaissance is still an incredible album. It's still an incredible love letter to black culture, to queer culture, and like black and queer music. Like, it's still an incredible album. Just because it didn't win the Grammy for album doesn't mean that it's any less of a good album. Do you know what I mean? Or it doesn't mean that Harry deserves to be dragged through the mud just because Renaissance didn't win. Now, I hope that's coming across as it's meant. Obviously, like I've said, I'm the kind of person that just wants everyone to be celebrated. And that's kind of what it boils down to. I feel like because Stan Twitter is the way it is, and because the internet is the way it is, if someone's fave doesn't succeed, people take their anger out on the opposing person that obviously did win, when realistically it's not their fault. Harry won several Grammys. Beyonce won several Grammys. Loads of other people won loads of Grammys. Everyone was celebrated. Just accept what they won rather than focusing on the stuff that they lost. You know? That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with this whole ordeal. But like I said, this is once again just my own opinion. I'm not trying to tell anyone how to feel. I mean, especially not the black community. I'm not a part of it, but that's just kind of how it seems to me. But like I said, it's very easy for me to say that because I do have a lot of privilege. Okay, so there's that. I've talked about this more than I said I was going to, but yeah. Okay, so the last thing I thought we could end on, so we end on a light note, right? Because that was a pretty heavy topic. I thought we could do a little round of bop or flop. That's the next segment. So if you're unfamiliar with what kind of this is essentially what I've done is I've asked you guys on my Instagram. I mean, I will just plug that. My main Instagram is Bradley with 2 Y's _Y. And also maybe follow the Kitchen Sink podcast on Instagram. And that is the Kitchen Sink _podcast. Okay? Thought I'd just plug that. Why not? Also, make sure you're giving us 5-star reviews, please. Woohoo. So I've asked you guys on Instagram to essentially send me in songs that I'm essentially going to say if I think they're a bop or a flop. Now this is light-hearted fun, people, right? It's not that deep. If you've sent one in and I say that I think it's a flop, I'm sorry. But I'm so glad you like it, right? So, I got a lot. Like, if you're watching this, like, did y'all see that? Like, that's a fuck ton, that is. So I guess we're just going to go through and I'm just going to do a few. I don't think I was doing loads. But if you would like a whole ass episode on bop or flops, because we could open it up to just like anything in life. Like, it doesn't have to be music related. Because some people did send in just like random shit. We could do a full episode talking about bop or flops. But anyway, let's go. First one, what should we do? Ooh, I guess let's start off with this. SOS by SZA. Oh, I've chosen violence. I've really chosen violence. Now, here's the thing. I'm not a SZA fan, really. I've not listened to much from SZA. I have sort of tried to listen to the new album. There's a fuck ton of songs on that album, can I just mention, right? There's like 20 odd songs. It's a long album. Now, I have listened to the album, not the whole way through. I think I got halfway. But what I kind of found is that some of the songs kind of sounded similar. Now, what I heard, I did enjoy. I thought she had great vocals. I did like the vibe. Sometimes interesting lyrics, right? Like the one about killing her ex. Love that one. But, yeah. So, it's not really a project that I will be returning to, I don't imagine. Like, I've really tried to get into it, but I just can't really seem to get there. So, for me, I'm gonna have to give it a flop. But I don't think it's a flop. Like, I think it's a great album for a certain type of person, but I just can't really get into it. I'm not sure why, because realistically, like, she has everything that I like. Ooh, someone's put Coast by Hailey Steinfeld. Now, Coast is Hailey Steinfeld's new track. Now, I will say this. When I first listened to that song, it was not an instant grab for me. It was more of the ones where I was like, you know what? I'm going to listen to that song again. Because it's a really cool vibe. It's kind of 70s. She looks stunning. The feature's really cool. So I'm going to, for that reason, I am going to say it's a bop. Because I do love it. It's one of my go-to, like, gym and like get me pump on songs. So there's that. Someone put every Ice Spice song is a bop. I think it's pretty clear I'm going to say that's a flop. I'm sorry. See, like, some people have put like random stuff in here, like Teen Wolf. Bop. So this is what I mean, guys. We can talk about anything. So let me know if you'd like me to do a full episode of bop or flops, because these are so fun. Frankenstein by Rina Sawayama. Now, I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about this whole album because it's another one. I could not get into it, people. I think I did listen to Frankenstein because that was a single, right? And I was like, I'm not going to lie, I came away thinking, what's this all about? Why are people living for this? Now, the main thing here with this episode of the podcast, right, to take away is that music is completely subjective, right? People are into such vast different things. Like, people look to music for all different reasons, right? And I think that's something to note. And this is exactly what this is, right? People look to Rina Sawayama because they like her stuff. I'm not the biggest Rina fan. So I'm going to have to say it's a flop. Brr, Kim Petras, bop. You're So Cool by Tate McRae. Not heard the track, but I'll say Tate McRae in general for me is a flop. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Tate. Mainly because she sings in cursive. Or like she's got like a weird, like nasally, high-pitched voice that's very Gen Z and not for me, right? So Tate McRae in general for me is a flop. But she's obviously not a flop. But in my life, she's a flop. I just don't like her style of singing. I'm not one for singing in cursive, right? Oh, Piece of Me by Britney Spears. Bop. Big fat bop. That's one of my favourite songs from Britney, to be honest. That's up there with her best of the best, in my opinion. So for sure, bop. Ooh, let's get into this then. So next thing someone's put is Shut Down by Blackpink. Now that song in particular is a bop. Whereas that album, Born Pink, I don't think I've spoken about Born Pink yet on the internet. Like, I've kind of made my opinion unknown and under the radar, to be honest. But my opinion on that album is that it wasn't that good. Like, it was kind of like a little bit underwhelming. And I've never said that about a Blackpink project or anything. Like, usually Blackpink come to scalp me. Right? And usually they're successful. But there was something about Born Pink that, like, some of the tracks I thought really could have just been completely a miss. I also found it weird that we had a rosé solo on there on a group project. That made no sense to me. But yeah, for the most part, Born Pink for me was a miss. I like Type of Girl. I do like Hard to Love, even though obviously it is a rosé solo, which is kind of odd. I liked Pink Venom. And there's one other. Shut Down. Oh, that's it. They're the ones that I like. The rest of them, like, guys, there's one of them on there, and I was like, what the fuck is this song? Let me have a look. Blackpink. Oh, yeah, this song. Yeah, by Blackpink. What the fuck is that track? Tally, meh. Ready for Love, meh. The Happiest Girl, I will say the vocals on Happiest Girl are really good, but it's not a track that I really gravitate towards. So yeah, for that, I'll say Shut Down is a bop. The project as a whole, kind of a flop. Sorry. Like, someone wrote Tomatoes. They're a flop. Blech. Gross tomatoes. Blech. Oh, If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power by Halsey. Y'all know, right? She was like near the top of my ranking, like the year that it came out or whatever. And I've got the vinyl. It's a fucking bop, people. So many people slept on that album. It was so annoying. Such a good fucking album. And it's like, it's so annoying that people don't like it. Family Line by Conan Gray. Oh, God, it's a... I'm coughing. God, my throat is raw. Someone wrote Family Line by Conan Gray, and I've got to say, I mean, it's a bop, but fuck me, that is a sad song. That is a sad-ass track, guys. It really, really is. I mean, it's beautiful, and he sounds great, but fuck me, it's sad. Sleepwalker, Ghost, and Dancing's Done by Ava Max. Ooh. Do you know what? For me, that album, her newest album, from what I'd listened to, because I don't think I made it all the way through, kind of mid. Like, I wouldn't say it's a flop because I did enjoy it, but it wasn't one of those albums that, like, I'd write home about, that I'd want to listen to constantly. Like, it wasn't a bad listen, but it wasn't one that I'm sure I'll be gravitating towards. So I guess for that reason, I'm going to have to say flop. But in an ideal world, I'd put it in the middle. Let's just do a few more because, I mean, we're really knocking on here. Someone's put, I love you, but can you get a boyfriend, please? Excuse me, I don't need no man. Thank you very much. Chloe's new song? Bop. Escapism? Bop. Poker Face? Fucking bop. The bop of the bops. That started it, guys. That started the gaga. Running Up That Hill. Oh my God. Running Up That Hill, absolute bop and a half. But on not even just that. That scene from Stranger Things, people, it's scarred in my memory. And, like, it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong, obviously, it's a fucking sad scene. But it's scarred in my memory, and it's left an almost an admiration for what they did with that scene, because fucking hell, it got me. It grasped me. It's one of my favourite things I've ever watched, that. But anyway, I think with that said, I think I've cancelled myself enough. So I think this is going to be the end of this episode. Thanks for listening. Make sure you're following The Kitchen Sink on wherever you're getting your podcast or wherever you're listening now. Make sure to subscribe if you've not subscribed on YouTube. Comment down below, like, give me a review. You know the deal. It really does help me out, and I really, really do appreciate it. I get the loveliest comments on the podcast episodes, so thank you so much. But yeah, this has been The Kitchen Sink, and that's another episode down the drain. See you next week. Bye.